Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today is July 5th and I'm finally going to start my Jane Austen July reading vlog. I had a 4-day weekend and I did basically no reading. I failed, but still time to get back on track for Jane Austen July. So let's just dive right into it. I don't want to waste too much time with this intro. I'm also not going to provide plot summaries for the books that I'm reading because if you want to hear more about what they're about, you can go watch my TBR video where I picked out my Jane Austen July books. So I have 3 physical books and also 2 that I need to get from the library. So I want to read Jane Austen's novella, Lady Susan. However, I found out that the library doesn't have a physical copy. They only have the ebook or the book on CD. And obviously I'm not going to listen to it on CD. So I'm going to check it out through the Libby app. That kind of sucks because I wanted to have a physical copy of the book to take pictures of. Oh well. So I'll be reading that. I also want to read Pride and Premeditation by Tirza Price. I placed that on hold from the library. It should be ready sometime this week. The book is available, it's just at a different branch, so I have to wait for it to arrive at my local branch, then I can go pick it up. Another book I want to read is The Clergyman's Wife, which I have not started yet, and I am hoping to start soon The Real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things. This is a nonfiction, so I think I'm just going to read it like little by little over the course of the month. Need to get a start on that soon because realistically I just know I'm not going to read a nonfiction book as quickly as I would read a fiction, so I want to have plenty of time. Then I did start one book last night. I did not get very far in it, but I did start reading Pride and Prescience by Carrie Bebris. This is the first in the Mr. and Mrs. Darcy murder mystery series, and though I have not read that much of it so far so good. So far I am actually enjoying it. I have not heard many reviews for this book, and the ones that I did see, a lot of people said this first book is not the best in the series and that they get better as they go along. So I went in cautiously optimistic, and so far, so good. I only read a few chapters, but so far I really like the interactions between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. I feel like they're in character, in my opinion, and I feel like they have this really nice, playful banter even now that they're married that to me personally feels true to the characters and their voices. So that was really enjoyable to read so far. I haven't read that much, like I said, so the murder hasn't even happened yet, but I'm really enjoying the characterization so far. So there we go. Did I do that intro quickly enough? I was trying. I tried not to talk for too long. This is going to be the first book that I'm going to read in Jane Austen July. I will update you once I have made more progress. It's less than 300 pages, so I think if I just really set my mind to it, I can finish this pretty quickly. And so far, I'm liking it. So excited to read some more. That is it for this intro. I'll give you some reading updates later. I do have some B-roll footage that I filmed the other day when I went up to Jacksonville, so intro done. Let's cut to the B-roll. So, I have now finished my first book for Jane Austen July, Pride and Prescience, the first of the Mr. and Mrs. Darcy murder mysteries. This for me is going to be a 3-star. I actually really liked the way the author wrote Darcy and Elizabeth. I think the playful, sweet banter they have between the two of them, in my opinion, felt very true to the characters. So basically the plot of this is that Caroline Bingley is getting married to a wealthy American, but shortly after the wedding, lots of strange things start happening, and eventually there is a murder in the book. However, it's kind of weird. The murder doesn't occur until like 200 pages into the book. By the time the murder happens, the book is almost over. So really, most of the book is just these strange occurrences that are happening to Caroline and the Bingleys, and Darcy and Elizabeth not understanding what's going on. That being said, even though it took a very long time to get to the murder, I wasn't bored. I felt like this was an entertaining, really quick read. I think it was good if you take it for what it is, which is just, a quick mystery to read inspired by Pride and Prejudice. Then the reveal of who was actually behind it all. I mean, was it surprising? No, not really. There are only so many characters in this book. It wasn't that hard to figure out who was the mastermind. However, there were some details that I thought were clever, and I did not see them coming. Now, kind of like I said in my Scrabble TBR video, this first book involves some paranormal elements relating to mystical items, and it's just not firmly based in reality, so you have to accept that. Now, my biggest problem with this book was there was a certain plot element, not even a plot element, a plot implication that was completely ignored, and I had a major issue with that. So the man that Caroline Bingley marries, Frederick Parrish, he is a plantation owner from Louisiana. And I don't know about you, but when I hear plantation owner from Louisiana in the early 1800s, the first thing that comes to my mind is this guy is a slave owner. And that implication is just not addressed. Yeah, that's just not discussed in this book. And I think the reason that he's from Louisiana is because the author wanted to bring in the sort of, the beliefs and superstitions of New Orleans. And I think she wanted to reference that. However, she doesn't deal with the implications of making him a wealthy landowner from Louisiana at a time when slavery is legal. So, that there's several possibilities. Either, he's a slave owner and none of the characters have a problem with that, which is problematic. It doesn't fit my belief of the characters, and I don't think that's what the author intended. The other implication is that Elizabeth and Darcy don't realize the implications of him being a plantation owner, which again, I don't believe, because they're both very intelligent people. So if this man says, hey, I'm a plantation owner from Louisiana, I think the two of them would be informed enough to know the implication of that. And I guess the third possibility is he is just an unexpectedly, woke 1800s plantation owner, and he's the only person in the county who doesn't have slaves. Is that what the author is expecting me to believe? I don't know, but I don't think you can introduce a plot element like that and not deal with the implication of it, because when you say he is a plantation owner from Louisiana, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, and that whole thing was just not addressed at all. That was my biggest issue with the book. I mean, I think if you take this book for what it is, it was good. I mean, it wasn't mind-blowingly amazing. It's not going to change my life or anything, but I think if you take it for what it is, it was fun. and I'll definitely like read the other books in the series. This was really easy to read. If you're looking for a Pride and Prejudice inspired mystery that is really easy to digest, I think maybe this is a good one. You know, it's not difficult to read, you know. It's like reading a kind of silly fan fiction, you know. It's a good time. So that's it for my first Jane Austen July book this year. 3 stars. Tomorrow I'll start something new. Bye!
Hello, it's been a while since I gave any reading updates for this vlog. I'm currently sick at the moment, and yeah, overall I'm okay, like I'm not seriously ill. However, this is my first time being sick since like January or February 2019, so that sucks. You know, I was having a long string of great health there for a while, so yeah, so kind of a bummer. I mean, it's nothing serious, but you know, nobody likes to be sick. Everybody would rather, you know, not, obviously. So there has been a little hiccup in my planned reading. I put Pride and Premeditation on hold at the library. This was one of the books I was planning to read for Jane Austen July, and it was on my official TBR. So basically, Pride and Premeditation was at a different branch of the county library. So I put it on hold, and they were like, okay, great, we'll, you know, bring the book to your local branch and you can check it out. That was like 2 weeks ago. And then shortly after I put it on hold, apparently the branch that it's coming from is having a maintenance issue. And so that branch has been closed for 10 days? Which means right now I cannot get the book. And I will not be able to get the book until that branch reopens. So I don't know how much longer that library is going to be closed. I guess I can wait a little while longer to see. But obviously, like, I can only wait so long. At some point I might have to pivot and choose a different book. I don't know. But so updates on what I have been reading. I started reading Lady Susan this evening, and I don't have a whole lot to say about it so far. It's going by pretty quickly. This is a Jane Austen novella, and it's told in an epistolary format, so the title character, Lady Susan, is just this scheming, flirtatious woman, not a very likable main character, and so we're getting the correspondence between her and her friend and her family members, and finding out about some of the men that she has seduced. I've also been reading The Real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things by Paula Byrne, and I'm actually really enjoying this so far. I've read over 100 pages, and even though this is a nonfiction book, I think it's very easy to read, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if this would be the best book to pick up for your very first Jane Austen biography, because this book is basically recounting details from Jane Austen's life. I don't know how to phrase this, using objects. So each chapter is a different object, such as, the family's barouche carriage, or, the subscriptions to different books that they had, or things like that. So I think maybe it wouldn't be the best place to start, just because it's not really a traditional biography, and also the book is giving us a lot of details about Jane Austen's extended relations and things like that. So maybe it wouldn't be a really accessible starting point for learning about Jane Austen, but I think it's a really well-written biography so far, and I've really been enjoying it. So now you're up to date. Good news and bad news. We'll see what happens.
Hi all, so I just finished filming a book haul for all of you, and now I wanted to give this vlog a little reading update, because I did finish reading Lady Susan by Jane Austen. I need to sit still because if I move on my bed, it's going to jostle the camera. I ended up giving Lady Susan 4 stars. This was a really fun little novella with some of Jane Austen's signature wit that I really enjoyed. Lady Susan is an anti-heroine. She really does not have any redeeming characteristics. She's very manipulative and uses her beauty and charm to ensnare men and really only thinks about herself. She also is not a good mother, and her daughter is kind of scared of her because her mother is always trying to force her to do things that she doesn't want to do. So Lady Susan is coquettish, I believe that you would say, and definitely extremely cunning and manipulative. There was one part where she's writing a letter to her friend, Mrs. Johnson, and she had this really awful but like also really funny line where she said to Mrs. Johnson that Mrs. Johnson did not marry well because her husband is too old to be governable but too young to die. Which is like a terrible thing to say, but it was funny. So I definitely enjoyed this one. However, I can't say I enjoyed it as much as the full-length novels of Austen. First of all, I think the epistolary format of this novel makes it harder to really get invested in any of the characters because it kind of creates that emotional distance. And also there really wasn't any character or relationship that I felt like I could really root for. There are people who get married at the end, but I can't say I really cared about any of the pairings, and no spoilers, but Frederica deserves better, okay? Frederica deserves better. So that's what I have to say about that. And yeah, that's it for today's reading update. I know I still sound kind of hoarse, but this is a huge improvement from how I sounded on Friday. So you might think that I sound bad, but this is me on the up and up.
Hello everyone, another update to the vlog. So I am pretty much recovered from having, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, if YouTube's gonna get mad that I say it. I'm recovering from having, I don't know if I specifically said in my earlier updates that what I had was, but yeah, it was. I basically just felt like I had a cold. It still sucked because, like I mentioned, that was my first time being sick of any kind in 3.5 years. So it sucked, but you know, powered through, and my voice sounds back to normal now, which is good. Now, that's not the only bad thing that's happened in my life recently, because you know how earlier I mentioned that I was waiting on Pride and Premeditation, but it had to come from a different branch of the library, and that branch was shut down for a maintenance issue? Yeah, I suspect it's not reopening anytime soon because I did some Googling, and the maintenance issue that has that branch of the library closed is a lightning strike. Yes, the library was struck by lightning. So I think it's safe to say I'm not getting that book anytime soon. God, my vlog is more cursed than Caroline Bingley's marriage, honestly. But I'm gonna start reading this. I need to get back into the real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things. And I think for my TBR, I'm just gonna kind of give myself a pass because obviously it's not my fault that I can't get my hands on Pride and Premeditation. The library got struck by lightning. Like, that's not my fault. And I have only a small bit to go in Drums of Autumn by Dan Gabaldon. I know that's not Jane Austen related, but I think I'm going to finish that this month. Only like 100 pages left to go. And that book is an even number of pages, which was the prompt that Pride and Premeditation was going to fulfill. So, you know, usually I wouldn't count swapping for a different book, but considering it's unusual circumstances, I'm giving myself a pass. Like, it's not my fault that lightning hit the library. Like, I'm not Zeus. Come on. Like, that was just a crazy scenario. Who could have predicted it? So that's it for now. Hopefully nothing else bad is going to happen in this vlog. Knock on wood. And I'm going to read some of this. talk to you later.
Hello. So, reading update. I finished reading The Clergyman's Wife yesterday. I think it's going to be a 3-star for me. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. This is a Pride and Prejudice sequel with Charlotte Lucas as the main character, and I enjoyed the book, but I wanted a little bit more from it. I feel like this is not a plot-heavy book. It mostly is just kind of like a little slice of life for Charlotte and her new position as Mr. Collins's wife. I thought, based on the plot description, that the relationship with Mr. Travis, the local farmer, was going to evolve a little further. It's clear that the two of them are interested in each other, but it never really progresses to become like an actual romance. I guess maybe it's like an emotional affair, but I thought maybe there was going to be a little more there. I will say I did enjoy the way that the author depicted Mr. Collins's character. I thought that was well done. Another thing that I think is important to mention is that this book does discuss the death of a child, so definitely do not pick this book up if you think that would be triggering for you. It's only discussed in a flashback, but if that's something that you think will really impact you, then I would avoid this book. And then I have another update. Look what arrived. I really thought I was not going to get it. It's safe, y'all. It's safe from the lightning struck library. So I read just 2 chapters last night. I'm not very far at all, but I am going to get to read this month, so that's exciting. I probably will not update this vlog again until the readathon's over, I think.
Hello. I know I said I probably wasn't going to update this vlog until the end of the readathon, but I have some thoughts about Pride and Premeditation that I want to share while I'm still thinking of them. I have read how many pages? 173, and I think the plot is overall like really fun and enjoyable. I do have a couple minor issues. First of all, I don't really think this should have been a young adult book. This book de-ages Elizabeth Bennet to 17, and because of that, I question how old Mary, Kitty, and Lydia are supposed to be, because even if this book depicts each of them as being a year apart, that would make Lydia 14, and I do not feel like she talks like she's 14, and I don't think she would be out in society. I mean, I think in the original Pride and Prejudice, she's 15, and that's still considered like a little bit on the younger side. So I just like, I feel like the changing the ages just like makes the plot like a little weird. Secondly, I have recently met the Lady Catherine character in this book, and I do not think she acts like Lady Catherine, and I can't specify this because this is a spoiler, but there's something she just said to Lizzie that I literally have no idea why she would say this to her, because having read Pride and Prejudice and knowing Lady Catherine, it makes no sense why she would say this to Lizzie. Yeah, I can't go into more specifics, but I am confused why she would say this thing. Overall, I do think the story is really fun and enjoyable, like lighthearted, even though it's a murder mystery, it's still really fun. I do think one thing I don't like about the Lizzie Darcy dynamic that we've seen so far is it does this thing that I feel like young adult books often do, where we're in Lizzie's head and she's thinking about how frustrating Darcy is and how much she dislikes him, but then she's just like, oh, he has really nice lips. Focus. Like, I don't really like it when you're reading a young adult book and the characters just randomly are like, oh, I hate this person, but they're so attractive, and it's clearly setting up the ultimate romance. Like, I just, I don't like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't. I mean, would the original Pride and Prejudice have really been as good if back when Elizabeth Bennet was saying that Mr. Darcy was the last person she would ever marry, she was also thinking, damn, he has a really handsome mouth? It would just not be the same. You know what I mean? yeah, I don't know how the mystery is going to pan out yet. We'll see. I'm also wondering what's going to happen with the Wickham character. I also think the Lizzie character has lots of clever moments, but she also sometimes annoys me a little bit just because she thinks that she's really smart, but sometimes she does things that I think aren't that smart. I'm also like a little bit annoyed with her because this book depicts the Charlotte character as being mixed race, and obviously being half black in 1813 would come with a lot of stigma, and like that person would undoubtedly face a lot of racism in society, and like that to me makes Lizzie judging Charlotte so harshly for entertaining Mr. Collins's advances worse, because like Lizzie can't really seem to comprehend the situation that Charlotte is in as a poor woman of color with no money, and like it just kind of irritates me that she has such little sympathy for Charlotte's situation, and she's just like, you can't marry Mr. Collins, he's ridiculous. Like adding that race element makes Charlotte's decision even more understandable than it already was. And so it's just kind of irritating to me that like Elizabeth cannot like comprehend and is still just so stuck on, but Mr. Collins is ridiculous. Like, put yourself in her shoes, Lizzie. You know what I mean? I feel like I just said nothing but negative thoughts about the book, but I'm actually like kind of enjoying it. I think it's fun, easy to read. I'm interested to see where it goes. Right now I'm leaning towards 4 stars, but we'll have to see if it can stick the landing. Hi everyone, so I am here to wrap up this vlog. I have not quite finished The Real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things yet. I'm going to finish it later today or tomorrow. I just want to finish this vlog and have plenty of time to edit it and export it. I will say I think this book is really good. Assuming nothing crazy happens in these last couple chapters, I might give it 5 stars. I think it was really enjoyable and easy to read. I don't know if I would recommend this to be your first Jane Austen biography, just because it is told in an unconventional way. It is a bit unconventional due to its non-linear storytelling, but I think it was a really engaging nonfiction book, so I'll finish this up before the end of the month and give you my final rating in my wrap-up video. I also finished reading Pride and Premeditation, and I have mixed feelings about this one. I was leaning towards 4 stars, but after the ending, I think I'm going to give it 3. I think the plot of this book was really fun. I enjoyed reading it, and there were moments that I thought were genuinely funny or amusing. I don't know if I love this as a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I did not enjoy the Lizzie and Darcy romance nearly as much as I do in the original book. I just thought it was fine, and I did not love the Lizzie character. She was fine, but there were times where I did find her a little annoying, and the book is constantly telling us how brilliant she is, but there are times when she does something that I think is a little dumb, so I didn't really like that. I am not going to give any spoilers about the resolution to the mystery. I will just say I think who the bad guys are is very obvious if you've read the original Pride and Prejudice, and I also felt like the book ends on a triumphant note, with Lizzie having solved the case. However, the evidence that she has to prove who done it, I didn't feel like was convincing evidence that would actually stand up in a court of law. So that to me just didn't really feel quite right. Like her entire case, I think, was too circumstantial for it to actually have worked. I also wish this hadn't been a young adult book, but overall I thought it was fun to read. I had a good time. I just had some issues with the way the characters were depicted, I guess. I would be open to reading more of this series. We'll see if I actually do that or not, because obviously
There are a lot of books on my TBR already. I don't know if I'm going to rush to pick up the next book in this series immediately, but I'm open to it. Like, this was all in all a fun time and not hard to read, so I would potentially read more books in this series, but we'll see if that actually happens or not realistically. That is it for Jane Austen July. I hope you had fun watching this vlog. If you participated in Jane Austen July, let me know what books you read in the comments section. I would really like to hear what you read and if you enjoyed them. Please like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. My social media links are down below if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you next time.